Alrighty. Hey there, everybody. Hopefully, you guys are having a good week. It's already Thursday. I can't believe we're flying through this. We're 1 week out from Thanksgiving. So to me, the week's flying by really fast. So I'm sure for you guys, it's probably the same. But we're closing in on the weekend. And so for me, one of the big things this time of year is obviously feeling like you have enough time to do everything. And that's why this video training session, I wanted to focus on time management as a stress reduction technique because that's the whole point of it, right? Is to be able to reduce the amount of stress that you have so that way you're not constantly stressed out, just in life in general, but also this time of year when it's the holidays and you're supposed to be taking some time to enjoy and relax. So, without further ado, let's jump on in. So, the first thing we want to talk about is, as far as time management goes, is what is it? We all have a general concept of, well, what is time management? Well, the key thing here, time management is not just micromanaging your time specifically, it is more of making the best use of your time. And it's the key element of this is means that being busy isn't the same as being effective. And that is the big difference for a lot of people. Most people think that time management as, they've got their time slotted out, they're going to do this at this time, that at that time, and then so on and so forth throughout their entire day. And that is form of time management it can actually lead to more stress. So we're going to focus on shifting the thought concept around time management from that model to the model I'm about to describe here. The key thing with effective time management is identifying the most important tasks and then identifying those that can wait. And that assessment of tasks is absolutely crucial, making time management work for you rather than you working for the concept of time management. And this is an ongoing process that needs to be regularly evaluated because obviously tasks can shift from one category to another as far as priority, depending on what's going on. And so we'll get into some examples of that in just a little bit here. So trying to make it a little more clear for you. So the whole point, though, is when you have the ability to weigh decisions carefully as far as, where you should be spending your time and make those decisions with purpose, that it will decrease the chances of you making a poor choice, essentially, as far as where you're allocating your time. And obviously, if you make a poor choice, this means you can end up, being stressed out because now you've got other things that you're worried about. And this will help you prevent wasting time on things that fixing a problem that might not have even been a problem if you had made a better decision. Besides that, when it comes to effective time management, there's numerous benefits. Obviously, you're going to have greater productivity and efficiency. That is key in all areas of life, right? We want to be able to get things done because when we get things done, that gives us time to be able to do the things we enjoy doing. If you're using it for work, obviously you're going to get a better professional reputation. You're going to have increased opportunities for advancement because of that increased professional reputation. And you're going to have greater opportunities to achieve important life and career goals because obviously you're able to do more things when you are more effective at managing your time. But the number one benefit, and this is the whole point of our training today, is that effective time management is great at stress reduction. And that's because when you are allocating your time effectively, you're going to feel less stressed because you're going to feel like you've got everything under control. And a key issue with time management is that many people think that it has to be structured to plan every single minute of their day. This is what I was alluding to before. In this version of time management, it does not work well. It actually creates more stress because by structuring every single minute of your day, if something takes longer than you planned for, it's now bleeding over into something else that you've got scheduled, and then you're going to feel stressed out and overwhelmed because now you're behind on that task. And so the two key things to keep in mind here when using time management effectively is that you need to free time and self-discipline. And the whole idea of using time management is to create space for free time. And if you do time management correctly, it's going to allow for this. Because obviously we all need downtime. And that's a big issue for most people today is they don't have downtime. And therefore they're constantly feeling stressed because they're constantly feeling like they're being pulled in multiple different directions because they have things they need to get done. And so with time management, when used correctly, it actually creates this space for free time. And the reason you can have the free time is because of self-discipline, which is the other component. And self-discipline is absolutely vital to time management. This is going to be what keeps you on track and will help you prevent procrastination. So, and you keep in mind, self-discipline is not something that just magically appears. I mean, I wish it did. That'd be great, right? Who wouldn't love that? But it's something that you have to work at every day. It's a consistent thing that you must do that eventually it'll become a habit. But eventually, through that process of consistently being self-disciplined every day, it becomes easier. And this essentially self-discipline means doing what you have to do, even when you feel like you don't want to do it. And this can be hard. I mean, there's no question about that. There's certain times there's things that I need to get done that I just don't feel like doing. But I also know that I need to get those things done and that I have a specific time frame to do that in. And if I don't get those done, then that means I don't have free time because I need to be able to make sure that my tasks are done for obviously personal goals, professional goals, and all those other things. And if I'm not getting them done, then that means I have to, in the time that I've allocated for it, then that means I have to get it done regardless. So that means it's taking up time from my own personal space. That way I can do the things I enjoy doing. So, as I said, the secret to self-discipline is that the more you practice it, the easier it's going to become. So initially, it's going to be really, really, really hard. And some days you're not going to be as self-disciplined as others, and that's okay. Just remember, every day you've got to take consistent action as far as being self-disciplined. And when you have self-discipline, that means you're more likely to stay on task, which means you're going to complete the tasks that you set out to do in the time that you set aside to accomplish it. And a lot of people get hung up on the idea of, especially when it comes to work-related projects, and I know I'm one of them. I'm a perfectionist. I like to have my things all nicely lined up, detailed, and wrapped in a beautiful package with a bow on it. But this doesn't always have to be the case for most things in life. Most of the time, tasks just need to be done. They don't need to be perfect. They need to be done. So this is why when you are doing specific tasks, how much level of detail as far as perfection does it really need, or does it just need to be done? And this is going to be a very silly example here, but for instance, laundry. Obviously most of us need clean clothes, and however often you wash laundry, that typically involves putting them in the washer, taking them out of the washer, putting them in the dryer, and then either folding them or hanging them up, depending on however you want to do your clothes. But none of us expect perfection out of that task, correct? We know that it's just something we need to do. It must be done because we need clean clothes to wear. And so that gets to the whole concept of it doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be done. Same thing with doing dishes. I mean, we need clean dishes. And when you take this mindset and apply it to work-related tasks, okay, certain things, yes, need to have, a little bit level of perfection to them because it's a professional thing that you're turning in. However, most of the time, tasks just need to be done. And you can always go back if you need to and provide that detail at a later point. But typically, you have a specific deadline you're trying to meet. So rather than trying to make sure everything's perfect, make sure that it's done and make sure that it's, good enough that it's going to meet the requirements that you need it to meet. But it doesn't need to be perfect. And this is something that I still work on every day. So if this is an issue for you, don't worry, not alone in that. So often is when we're trying to implement the concept of effective time management, people will ask me, they're like, well, how do you do this? How do you identify and prioritize tasks? And that's a great question because obviously, I mean, you need to be able to do that. This is the essential step, right? The most critical component of effective time management is being able to assess specific tasks and identify which category they fall into. Um, and this will allow you to know what you need to focus on first. Uh, and so this is where you want to have set time constraints for completing your tasks as well, because this is going to help you be more focused and efficient. If you know that you've got a task and it needs to take, you have this amount of time to do it in, then you need to figure out, okay, this are the steps of that task. This is what I need to do, and I need to have it done by this time frame. Obviously, some things are, 20 minutes. Others can be 2 weeks, depending on what the level of involvement is. But whenever you're working on a task, you need to plan for taking a pause or a break, which is about 5 minutes or less, every 20 to 30 minutes. This is our bodies just naturally, when we get into a rhythm of things, need that break. We need, especially if it's something that's highly mentally driven tasks, you need to have that so that way your body's able to get back on track and remain focused. And so this means, if you're at your desk, get up, walk to the bathroom, go get a drink, come back to your desk. This doesn't mean go take, 20, 30-minute break. It's just quick for your brain to get that reset that it needs. Other essential component when you are doing effective time management is plan for interruptions. Because if you don't, you're going to be incredibly stressed out. Interruptions are going to happen, whether they're intentional or not. It's just a fact of life that when you're in the middle of your day, things are going to happen. And this is why you don't want to plan every single minute, because when you do, then you don't allow for interruptions, and this can cause huge issues, because obviously then you're going to feel like you're behind. So by planning for interruptions, you're going to feel less stressed when something comes up that you didn't plan for. The other component of this, though, is you don't want to be immediately available by phone, text, or email, because when you are, that means you're being interrupted, especially with today's technology, all the time. So you don't want to have that immediate access. And often when you're not immediately accessible, minor situations probably are going to resolve themselves without you even needing to do anything. Or if you do need to do something, it's not going to take up as much of your time. So for me personally, obviously, when I'm working, I've got my phone on my desk, because obviously with my stepkids, if something happens, I need to know. So that way I'm available for that, because that's obviously incredibly important. Other than that, though, I do not take any text messages, phone calls, or check email other than at specific set times. So usually when I get up in the morning, I get ready, get to my desk, I sit down, I'm working. And then after I do my initial task, we want to get into this as far as prioritizing your day, but after I do my initial task that I know I need to get done for the day, then I check the email for the very first time. And we're going to get to the inbox zero concept a little bit later in our discussion here. But so after I check email, then I go back to whatever I need to focus on. And at the same time I'm checking email, if I've had text messages or phone calls I've missed, I'll listen to those, respond in any way I need to. Then I get back onto my tasks, get into it until lunchtime. And then usually go grab lunch. Sometimes I'll check email first. If anything urgent came in, respond to that, eat lunch, come back, do a quick scan, see if anybody responded to me as far as email, and then get back into my zone, if you will. And then usually before I'm done for the end of the day, I will check email and all that one more time, respond to anybody who needs to be responded to, and then be done with email for the day. And the whole concept here is that by not being immediately accessible, I'm protecting the time that I need to in order to be able to get the stuff done I need to get done. Also, it helps people understand that when you're not readily accessible, that they need to be able to, problem solve and figure things out on their own. And obviously that if they can't, you will respond to them. It's just that you're not going to be, instantaneous on it. So, and then the other big essential component of effective time management is delegation. You need to be able to delegate to others things that they can complete, that you don't need to waste your time essentially focusing on, because you have certain things that you must do that have to be done that no one else can do. And that's where understanding the importance of, task awareness, understanding what it's going to take to complete a task is so key. So to increase your productivity level when you and the sense of feeling accomplished, do easy tasks that can be completed quickly and efficiently first, because this is going to allow you to get those tasks done and out of the way. And then you're going to be like, hey, I finished this task, and you're going to feel great, and you're like, all right, let's get on to the next one. And it's just this momentum thing that keeps building, and that's what you're trying to get here, right? And this is what's going to help with the self-discipline concept. And then the other big component of this is reducing time wasters, which we all are guilty of it. Social media, is there. It's easy. You want to reduce this during your critical work times. So it's the same thing with the concept of not being readily available. Don't do social media or other things while you're trying to get your focus on your tasks. So a big component, as we talked about, is identifying your tasks. And this gets to the concept of urgent versus important. So their urgency and importance are related, but are very distinct concepts. Urgent tasks require your immediate action. Something needs to happen now, essentially. Important tasks are more significant typically, and usually have long-term consequences. So, and certain tasks fall into both categories, and I'm going to break it down into the 4 main categories that you should be sorting your tasks into here. There's important and urgent, which these are the tasks that you must do right away. They are critical to long-term success, but they also need to be taken care of immediately. Important but not urgent, you get to decide essentially when to do these tasks. And then urgent but not important. These are the tasks you want to try to delegate if possible. So if it requires you to be involved, then that typically means that it's important and urgent. If it's something that must be done but you don't necessarily need to be involved, these are the urgent but not important tasks. And then the not urgent, not important, these are the ones that you're going to set aside to do later. So these are the tasks that you're going to get to when you get through essentially the first 2 task groupings, which are the urgent and important but not urgent. So by keeping those 4 groups in mind, this is where you can decide where you're focusing your time. And when you're focusing your time in this way, that is what's so critical to being able to have effective time management. So I'm going to go over these one more time, just so that way, if you guys didn't catch them the first time, you'll be able to have them the second time. So those 4 groupings are important and urgent, which are the tasks you must do right away. Important but not urgent, which are the ones that you get to decide when to do. Urgent but not important are the tasks you want to try to delegate to others if possible. And then not urgent and not important are the tasks that you set aside to do later, when you've gotten all the other stuff out of your way here. And obviously things can shift to, from one category to the next. For instance, you've got a big project at work you're working on, all of a sudden something happens at your house, and your air conditioning unit, which maybe you should have had serviced, which you put down in the not urgent, not important category, because hey, it's working, right? All of a sudden it stops working, and it's the middle of July, and well, guess what? Now you need air conditioning in your house. That task of finding someone to fix that just got bumped up to important and urgent, because you need to get that done because you want to have your air conditioning in your house. So that's an easy example of how things can shift as far as where it falls into your priorities. So going back to what I was talking about a little bit ago about as far as email and the concept of inbox zero, and I can't take credit for designing this, but I loved it so much I wanted to share it with you guys. So the idea is that most of us get into bad habits with email. We're constantly checking it every few minutes or several times in an hour, and we then will read what's in our inbox, and then we sort of feel stressed out about it, but we don't really do anything about it as far as taking action, and then so they start to pile up in your inbox. And this just makes it incredibly stressful. to open up your inbox. I mean, I know people who've got like thousands of emails just sitting in their inbox. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you even remotely deal with all that? So, way to avoid this is that every time you go to your inbox, you should systematically go through your emails and process it to zero, which means your inbox should be at no emails in there, none. The best way to do this is folders. I've got folders. Besides the inbox folder, there's a whole ton of folders. And so I go through, okay, this person emailed me. Is it something I need to respond to? No. Is it information that I'd like to review at a later point? Yes. Then it goes into the folder. Is there nothing in it that I need? Then it gets deleted. If it's something I need to respond to, I'll respond to it. And then I will put it into the appropriate folder because I've addressed it. Because obviously when the person responds to you, it's going to have the thread in there anyway, so you don't have to leave it in your inbox. And so every time you go into your email, this is what your goal should be. You want to get your inbox to zero. So that way, literally, when you close your email down afterwards, there's nothing in there. That way, the next time you come into your email later in the day, whatever's new is there. You review those and get it out of the way. So initially, it's going to take a little bit of time if you've got thousands of emails to sort all through that. But once you get it to where your inbox is to zero, that's what's the critical element here. So, and you want to do this, until no emails are in your inbox. I mean, it can be life-changing. So I want you guys to, if you can do that, that would be awesome if you can. And then the one other quick concept that I want to touch upon here before we wrap it up is the idea of multitasking. Everybody likes to think they're great at multitasking. I used to think of myself as great at multitasking. However, it's not actually helpful. It's not something that can be done easily or efficiently. When you're trying to do multiple things at once, your brain just cannot process it to the point where you are going to be effective at doing either one well. So, you're not going to be as productive. You're not going to have as good of results on things that you're doing when you're trying to do more than one thing at a time. So this is why focusing solely on one thing at a time is going to help with a couple of things. You're going to get your tasks done quicker. It's going to be more efficient. Most likely, you're going to pay more attention to detail, so it's going to be better overall in general. And then you're going to be able to move on to the next task and do the same thing with that, rather than trying to do the two tasks simultaneously, and then neither task comes out that well. So this is, as far as I'm concerned, multitasking is not something that anyone should be doing. Take your time, focus on one task, do that to the best of your ability in the time that you've allotted, get it done, move on to the next task. Do the same thing with that task, and so on and so forth. This is what's going to allow you to, A, be more productive, B, you're going to be less stressed, and then that way you're actually getting everything done that you need to get done while reducing your stress and creating space for the free time that you really, really want and deserve to have, right? Everybody works hard, so you want to be able to get your free time so you can enjoy. So this is the concept of time management, is that it can be used effectively to reduce stress. You just need to know how to do it. So hopefully, if you guys took notes, wrote down everything that we talked about as far as being able to implement these strategies. If not, definitely watch the replay. I know for me, this has been a huge difference in my life as far as being able to do all the things I like to do. I like to live a very active lifestyle. There's a lot of things I like to go do. Obviously, I've got my stepkids, my fiance, so we are constantly on the move. And then obviously I'm here with you guys, and I'm still working obviously as a nurse. So effectively managing my time is absolutely critical to being able to do all the things I need to do, but also that I want to do. And I know for you guys out there, you're the same way. You've got things that you obviously need to get done, but also things you want to do. And that's the whole point, is make time management work for you. So that way you can do these things. And there's a quote that I want to leave you guys with from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, the movie, which is one of my favorite movies. And this is probably one of my most favorite quotes. So it says here, life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop to take a look around once in a while, you might miss it. I'll say that one more time. Life moves pretty fast, and if you don't stop to take a look around once in a while, you might miss it. And that to me is what time management's all about, is creating that space so you can stop to take a look around once in a while. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this session. I'm hoping that you'll be able to implement some of these strategies so that way you can reduce the stress in your life by effectively using time. Also, I know next week is Thanksgiving, so I'm going to try to do the live training session a little bit earlier in the week next week. That way we can get it in and before the holiday. But until then, you guys have a good rest of your week. This week, if you're traveling, stay safe. Otherwise, I will see you guys then, and stay healthy.